Hello, everybody. Welcome back to NDIS. I'm your host, David Trinko, alongside Lincoln Retzloff and Ian Iverson once again. And in today's episode, we will be going over the most recent weekend series at home against Arizona State. Excuse me, when the Sun Devils came to Grand Forks for the first time in their history. And then we'll be doing, I guess, maybe like a short, uh, what do you call it? Preview. Sorry, guys. A short preview of the USA under 18 game that happens on this Friday night. It doesn't really matter. It's an exhibition matchup, so that's why it's going to be kind of short. But um, just some weekend recaps. I'll go first because everyone always wants to know what I did. Anyway, just kidding. I on Friday went to the game, obviously. Went downtown after the game, walked home with the fellas, and that was a trek. And then Saturday, went to the game in the press box. Was fortunate enough to meet Clay Matvick. Pretty sweet. Um, really cool guy. Chatted with him for about 10, 15 minutes about, his career as a broadcaster in college hockey and sports in general, and then his thoughts on his alma mater, St. Cloud State's current situation in which they sit, which is very interesting. But was able to get his phone number, and we're gonna hopefully have him on the pod maybe this summer. So hopefully that opportunity will, you know, materialize as we get closer to the summertime. But Saturday night, I didn't really do anything. Was not feeling downtown after the loss. Just kind of kills the vibes, honestly. And then Saturday or Sunday, watch the Vikings get stomped again, and then I just got depressed after that. I kind of did nothing, but that's pretty much it. Oh, I went to Dave's Hot Chicken, just opened on Friday. I've been to the one in Fargo, but I went to the one here in Grand Forks, and I ordered a 10 and a slider, and I open it up when I get home, and there's literally, like, pardon my French, a horse cock as the tender. It is literally like the length of my face, and I'm like, what the heck is this? This is awesome slash crazy because I'm a little afraid of what this could be. But that was my weekend. So whoever wants to go next can go next.
I didn't do a whole lot, kind of just watched the games and went out. Yeah, we'll get into them in a bit, but all in all, not a bad weekend. I watched some of the UND football game against Murray State. It was a little bit frustrating right away to watch that game, but they ended up winning. So excited for this weekend against SDSU. Other than that, it was pretty relaxing. Didn't do a whole lot.
You didn't go DT on Saturday?
Oh yeah, I did for a bit. It was pretty low key.
Sweet.
Funny enough about small connections. I was at a work event on Friday most of the day, and I ended up meeting Danny Cristo's brother-in-law.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that, I
It was a
think.
pretty cool connection. Old Seven Toe Cristo. Yeah, that was cool. And then, obviously I watched the games both nights, and then I watched Georgia beat Texas college football, so their dogs are rolling. Good to see them playing well. And Sunday I just kind of hung around. Was productive, did a lot of cleaning and prep for this week, so also a pretty low-key weekend for me.
Sweet. What was Danny Crystal's brother like? Is he a Sioux fan as well, or
He wasn't a big hockey fan. He said, until he met Christo, and then when he found out who he was, he kind of got into the sport and everything. But he said there were some really fun trips out to Switzerland when Christo was still playing overseas, and
wait, did you say brother or brother-in-law?
brother-in-law.
Oh, okay, never mind. Then
Yeah.
that's a bit different.
Yeah, he's not a Sioux fan or anything, but said he started getting into hockey and loved going over to Europe for those games. So it's cool.
Yeah, I bet that would be cool. Sweet. All right, well, let's get into the recap real quick. So UND hosted Arizona State this weekend on Friday and Saturday, and UND was able to pull out the victory on Friday night in pretty decisive fashion. Um, came out with two goals. Arizona State came back with a pair of their own the second half of the second period, and then UND rallied in the third for three unanswered goals to win it. All uh, None of them were empty netters, so all of them were with a goalie in. One power play goal on the Friday night from Cody Kroll. Ben Cernan was able to stay hot all weekend. He had three goals, and that's it. Three goals, no assists. And then on the Saturday, UND fell 4-2. UND's Ben Cernan, obviously, the man, the myth, the legend, came out and scored the opening goal in a weird way. I think it deflected off somebody in front of the net and went in. Um, then Colin Powder tied it up with a power play goal. We'll go in a little bit about the goaltending that goes into that. Arizona State again scored two goals in the later stages of the second period, and then UND came out. Ben Cernan again scored to make it a 3-2 game with a just disgusting snipe far side, and then Arizona State sealed the deal with a shorthanded empty netter with a minute 30 to go. So UND only able to capture three out of the six conference points this weekend. Not the most ideal situation, but one that will probably happen a lot of weekends, and it'll probably happen again. So not the worst way for it to go, but obviously not the most desired way either. Who wants to go into what they saw on the weekend?
I'll just start with Friday. Thought it was a good effort getting to 5 goals. They played really good in front of Spoonar too as well. I thought, this will be a recurring theme this weekend. I didn't think special teams was the greatest. They did score on the power play, but once again, they did let up a power play goal. It was good that they did stay out of the box except for that one time. And I thought just overall they did a good job limiting Arizona State's grade A opportunities, which has really been the success story for our goaltending. Is when we're just letting them, maybe shot off thing, clearing the puck out front. I think that's been really big. Yeah, they won in faceoffs. Once again, outshot them 43-21 on Friday, and it showed on the scoreboard. So it was a really positive way to start the weekend, in my opinion.
Yep,
Yeah.
shit.
How many shots did we put up each night if we were shot 40 plus night?
43 Friday and 41 Saturday.
Yeah. So that's good. Yeah, I mean Friday we looked how we did at Omaha and how we did Saturday against Duluth. We were rolling with that momentum and like Lincoln said, when you keep those grade A chances out, you make it a lot harder for a team to win. And you saw that Saturday night. That's something we did not do. Two of their goals were one-timers, literally 10 feet from the net. So,
Mhm.
um, there's some grumblings about special teams as well. I mean, Saturday we had one shot on goal on the power play, and that was through three attempts, I think, including the one at the end there. You're not going to win hockey games if you're getting one shot on goal when you're on the power play. Um, and they showed that. I mean, Arizona State went 2 for 3 on the weekend for power play. Um, our PK's got to get a little more solid. We kind of let up those grade A shots right in front of the net, when we go on the PK, and that's why we only have like a 76% at the moment. Um, so picking up that guy down low would really help. Um, Overall, I mean, I'm not too upset about it. Saturday, we still looked pretty good for the most part. We just, gave up a couple of those grade A chances, slacked off, but I think their head's in the right place. There was a lot of accountability in the press conference Saturday night, about what they did in front of Homer and looking on to I guess Friday. So,
Yeah, I would say too. Another thing you got to think about is they're playing without Saturday without Rickwood, who
hmm
is our first line center, oldest center on the team. I don't quote me on that, but one of our older centers on the team, a guy who has been phenomenal in the faceoff dot this entire season, just rock solid. And without him, that kind of jumbled up lines. So that I think, it's got to be the next man up type deal, which I do think UND has showed this year that they have that depth. But like losing a guy like Rick Wood does really hurt. And I do think UND could have won this game Saturday night, regardless without Rick Wood. I think they should have won. That's another thing, and maybe you can allude to that to why their special teams is so, especially their power play was just so not great on Saturday. Like they were without their main center on their power play. They didn't have him for net front doing his thing. So I mean, maybe that's something you can look into. But hopefully his timeline is he'll be back soon because he's a very important player and someone that who I think is really UND's got to be really happy with the production they're getting, especially from him. And yeah.
Yeah, I think going into that weekend, he was third in the nation in face-off percentage. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a big impact. I mean, we look at a guy like Tim Washy on Western Michigan last year, who led the nation in face-off percentage, and now you see how they're playing without him. So it's like those guys are game changers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll add in. I thought someone said it before, but I liked how the players kind of stood up for Gibson Homer in the press conference, held themselves more accountable than because they know what the people are all thinking, and to do that for a teammate when you know he's probably struggling with his own self-confidence right now, um, being in the situation he's in, um, that it can do a lot for a player, a lot for a person who's got a lot of pressure on him. I mean, if I'm Gibson Homer, I'm down on myself and I'm probably thinking like, dang, I can't catch a fucking break here, you know, even when I make good saves. And Gibson made good saves on Saturday. He played good enough for them to win. But the fact of the matter is UND didn't help him out in front enough. And there was one goal that Gibson, the first goal on the power play from Colin Potter needed to be stopped. That's the one that you can maybe give him a nod on. He made tons of great saves besides that. Sure, the shot to goals allowed margin was not great looking on a stat sheet, but it shows a lot from the team, how they I don't know how you want to say it, stuck together, or what they mean to each other, how they have each other's backs when they go in the press conference like that and take the fall. Not even take the fall, but just hold themselves more accountable than letting the fans just tear them apart. So I think that speaks volumes of the kind of characters we have on our team that lead this team. So I thought that was great.
Yeah, I'll say too, like that's the number one thing you can't do, especially when you're playing ASU. And yeah, I kind of agree, Dave. I thought Homer probably could have had it, but it's so tough when you leave Cullen Potter wide open on the power play. I was kind of bashing him the week before, but he's a elite player with an elite shot and an elite skating ability. That dude's not going to miss from that close. Like he can thread the puck wherever he wants. So again, it comes down to that too. And then I think another thing, I'm just looking at when ASU scored their goals. They scored one goal with what does it look like? There was 6 seconds left in the second period. That's like one I don't remember the goal necessarily that much, but that's like 101 hockey, especially when it comes down to defenses. You don't get scored on in the last minute of the period. Like that just shouldn't happen. So that's something I think you can look back and once again it was a good thing the players are taking accountability because that's just a backbreaker too. Like to go down 3-1 into the third, like what did they say? First to three wins the game. And UND had a chance to come back. They gave a good run at it, but it's unfortunate.
Hmm.
You do gotta feel Homer's kind of getting the short end of the stick here too. Because
He
it's
is
like
for sure.
he I don't want to say they're not they've played better in front of him, but tonight that night they should have scored more goals. And once again, PK should have been better. Like there's just a number of factors. And I know Ian, you're probably going to go on a little bit of a rant here, but like I don't know. There's a lot of people who are complaining about UND playing Homer. And it's like I think playing Homer is the right move. That's
Me
just my
too.
opinion, and I will stand behind the
I
constitution of
agree.
that.
It's a smart. I got hold on before you go on your rant, Ian, and then we're gonna let you go on it. I just got to add something. Like my friend asked, like, text me and asked me, like, why are we playing this guy? And I just tell him like it's just a smart thing to do right now. The situation we're in, it got to give guys, can't take one guy. And I'm sure we've said this, brought this up before, but you can't take one guy right now and just destroy the other kid's confidence. Because when you do that, especially this early in the season, the guy is probably going to start thinking, "Oh, I'm going to transfer out." I mean, if it's Gibson Homer, I mean, it's still a little different because he doesn't have any eligibility left. But they start thinking, "Oh, I'm going to transfer out." They quit on the team because they feel like the team quit on them. The coaches quit on them. It's just not a good idea to do right now. You got to roll with it until you have a more decisive feel of who you want it to roll with at towards the end of the year. Sort of what the Western did with Slakinski and Rowe. We brought up that example before too. But one thing I want to get into on the Saturday night before Ian, you go crazy, crazy, um, is I talked to quite a few people, and besides the whole Homer thing, people were pretty upset about uh, Dane Jackson pulling the goaltender with I don't know 2 minutes to go, a little over 2 minutes to go when they went on the power play there. As soon as they won possession in the offensive zone, they pulled Homer. And Dane Jackson addressed it in the press conference where he felt that they were comfortable with their odds, their chance of 6-on-4. There is no reason that they shouldn't win the puck battles and keep possession of the puck if they already have it. So I don't know when they did that, and I'm not a I'm not a I'm not a I'm not a college hockey coach, but I mean I've watched a lot of hockey. I've watched a lot of Sioux hockey. I just feel like from our odds in general. Not that odds really matter or take into account. Obviously, people defy odds all the time, but it just feels like our luck. I just don't like that play. I don't. I feel like that I'm not a very big risk taker. I'd like taking a safer bet that we're gonna score anyway. Um, or I don't just the way how pulling the goaltender on a power play works is they can clear the puck down and just take blank shots, as many as they want towards the empty net if they ever get possession. And I get having being on 6-on-4 and liking your odds of men on the ice and having two guys on the puck maybe or whatever. But the UND's luck, I mean, it just feels like it's inevitable that the puck's going to come off the boards to one of their guys and they're going to get a shot. And then you got to play with the chances of that shot going in the net, which happened on the first fucking try, um, or one of the first tries. I want to say it was the first try, but it might have been like the second.
The second, yeah.
Um, like I just when he did that, I'm like, great, we're gonna lose now. That's a bad play. The only time I've seen that play happen and it work out really well, I could be forgetting, but a better one. But the
Quinnipiac.
2023 national championship game, Quinnipiac pulled their goaltender. Um, I think he did it even before the face-off. So that's the one time. And Lincoln, you said it earlier, like if it does work out, sure, you look like a genius. But at the same time, I just don't like. I'm not a big risky guy like that. I don't like taking a
I
chance like that because when
yeah,
it doesn't work out, go ahead.
I'll play the devil's advocate and say I don't mind them. Here's why I think they practiced it. That would be my guess. I don't think Dane Jackson just went in and was like, we're gonna do it. If I had to guess, they probably practiced this. If they didn't, then that would be a pretty stupid move. But I mean, like I said, like you look at the way, and it's a really, you're right, Dave. Like you do get unlimited chances, unlimited shots down at the net, but they did get pretty lucky. I mean, ASU had four shots in the third period. They really weren't breaking out well. They weren't playing that well. And I think Dane Jackson's thought process is, hey, as long as we got, when this is how it should have been, is you got to have two guys on the puck at all times. ASU is
Hmm.
never going to touch the puck. And unfortunately, the puck went on to Shimmick's stick, and he's a pretty good player, and he scored. But I don't know. Like you said, if it works, he looks genius. If not, you know, that's just how it goes. But I don't know. I think they practiced it and maybe something was working in practice. That's just my hunch with it because I don't think they would have done it. I really don't think Dane Jackson would have just gone out and done it regardless. But I don't know. I would maybe
Yeah.
try it one more time and then if it doesn't work, never do it again. But I think it's okay to experiment with new things. So whatever.
Okay, maybe we do it one more time, but after that, no.
Then yeah.
Anyway. Okay, Ian, you can
Yeah.
go.
Um,
All right, Ian, go ahead.
no, no, you're fine. I just want to say, like, how about we just don't get in the position to have to do that? You know what I mean?
Right.
Right.
I don't know what the shot spread was Saturday, but it was like 40 to 15 or something like that. Like it
Let me
Forty-one
check real
fifteen.
quick.
run into a
Yeah.
hot goalie, sure, fine. Like that's gonna happen. And he was great. Their goalie looked outstanding Saturday. But kind of back to what Lincoln said, like 3 out of the 6 Arizona State goals this weekend happened within the last 3 minutes of the second period. You had, I think it was one goal Friday night, which was like with 2 minutes left. And then you had Saturday night where they score with 3 minutes left and they score with 6 seconds left. And it's like, don't put yourself in that position. And plus, like, both of them were sloppy on our end. Like, we had
Mm-hmm.
guys that got caught puck watching, and all of a sudden the guy's wide open 10 feet from the net. Like, Homer's not going to stop that. And I'm a little tired of people blaming him for our defense hanging him out to dry because that's exactly what it's been. Every loss that he's had.
Hmm.
And like the thing that pisses me off is a lot of our fan base just is never happy. Like this is the best goalie room we've had in years. We're at 8-4. We have one of the best teams we've had in recent years. Like, and you're still finding things to bitch and moan about. Like it's infuriating. Um, like support your team. You're 12 games in. If Homer's playing the same way with a good defense in front of him in January, sure. You can make that argument against him, but you're pissed at him for losing games in which we've played, I mean, pretty sloppy defense, and like it doesn't make sense. It's either you don't watch the game or you just want to be mad about something. So that's my personal grievance is like, and I'm glad the guys stepped up for him because I'm sure they were hearing that from people. And like Strinnen right away saying we hung him out to dry. Like that was great to see because I think in some of Barry's teams we didn't see that accountability and holding ourselves up to a standard. And so hopefully that culture is changing and our guys are going to be accountable for when they hang our goalies out to dry. But just the fans that are never happy about stuff like we're 8-4. We lost to a pretty talented Arizona State team after like whopping 4 games in a row. So people aren't going to be happy and it is what it is. But there's no point in complaining about having two good goalies and one of them's not playing well because his, defense is hung him out to dry.
Mm-hmm. Right. And kind of like you said, like Ian, we're still this is a pretty young and newly put together team dealing with injuries on top of that. If this stuff is going on in January and February, and I don't even want to say this stuff because like you said, we're UND's 8-4. It's not they're not the Gophers right now. Like it's like they're sitting fine. Really would like to see them put together a nice series against Bemidji State in 2 weeks because these not conference games those do count. And you don't want to see them lay an egg to Mercyhurst later on. But like, yeah, they're UND's sitting fine right now. Like if they can just stay on their course, they're top of the NCHC right now. So like that's something. Um, I really just I think there's a lot of UND fans who are panicking like it's over. It's like this is a new team. Bradbury is not the coach anymore. Guys are going to get healthy again. UND, if they get back to how Dane Jackson wants the team to be, it's going to be a second half team come the second half of the year. And they're going to be really good and talented. And I think we're already seeing guys, young guys who are already offensively popping, specifically our freshmen. Now just wait till they're more sound defensively. So that's another big thing. I think if UNG just gets through this first half with a good record, stuff like that, they'll be chilling. So
Lincoln's purple over there right now. Just looks
I
purple as
really
shit.
Yeah, it's like I think
Yeah.
people we could go 34-0 and win the championship, and I think people would still find something to bitch about. Like I don't get why our fan base does that. It's so infuriating. Like I get last year people being pissed off. I was one of them. I was one of the many that were like
Mhm.
something needs to change because we had 12 draft picks and didn't even make playoffs. Like I get that. But
Someone I remember also didn't like the Dane Jackson hire, as I recall.
is that me? I think right away I was like,
You
there
were
were
pretty, I don't think you liked that hire at all initially.
I was I was a little confused by it because I was worried. And then 2 days later
You
I'm
were
like,
it
you
is
know
going to be the
what?
same, I think, is what I recall.
That's what everybody was
That's
saying. I think I got caught up in that. And I think 2 days later, I was like, you know what? That was actually a pretty good hire
Mhm.
because I had kind of remembered in the back of my head, he's kind of the opposite of what Barry was. And from what I heard, there were like internal grumblings between Barry and Jax about how they coached. And like, as it went on, I'm like, you know what? This is a good hire and this is going to work out well. And
hmm
sure enough, it did. And I mean, we definitely have the staff and the personnel and the team to win a championship this year. Like, and I'm sure they're hearing all about that in the locker room. Like, and you've seen the way they've played in the last, even Saturday night, they still looked like a really, really good team.
Mhm.
Like, this
hmm
is a team that January and February is going to be scary to play against. Um, and like they've got the toughness. You see the way they play. They finish their checks. You know, it's something we haven't seen for a couple of years. And even when they're dinged up, it's like they're coming right back. And for all those guys that get dinged up, we have a Tyler Young, we have a Dalton Andrew, guys who are going to get gritty, and people panicking about us being 8-4 halfway through November is just silly. It's foolish, and it's clear that they just don't understand our program. Like all of Hack's teams were probably 500 going into the break, and then all of a sudden they win like 18 to 19 games and make the Frozen Four. Like we're in good shape.
hmm Yeah, so if that anyone else got anything to add before we move on to the preview of the U18 game?
I'm gonna hold on. I'm gonna let me count this up, boys. What our record was at this time last year. So it's the 18th. Last year at this time we had one loss, two
We were 12
losses,
games in, I think.
one,
Let's go to
four,
12 games in.
4-6, 4-7, 5-7, uh, 5-8,
We were 5-7.
6-7. I believe we were 7-8. My math
That's
might be
more
wrong.
games though. That's more games.
Yeah, but still look at the record. That's the
No, I
losing record.
know. What were we at 12 games in? That's where we
12
are now,
games
right?
in?
Are we 12 games in?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We were like what 5-7. We got swept out at Cornell and like got
correct.
destroyed by Denver at home, got destroyed by Western at home.
Yep.
Or
Like
what
barely
were we
beat
12
Robert
games in? What was our
Morris.
record?
Uh,
Let's see, 12 games in, we were 1-0, 2-0, 2-1, 3-2, 3-4, 5-4, 5-6, 6-6 with an overtime win against Robert Morris being the 12 game.
okay. And then you go look at Bemidji, lost Bemidji and tied Bemidji.
Oh
And
yeah,
that's not even
that was
December yet.
shitty. All right. Yeah.
Like it's a complete improvement from last year, in my opinion. Is what we're getting at here. Like,
hmm even then, the losses we have aren't that embarrassing, I'd say. The only embarrassing one could maybe be Clarkson. I guess Minnesota now looking back at it.
yeah,
But then again,
it's
like,
a
No,
rivalry game.
sure,
They're gonna play
Minnesota,
good.
yeah, Minnesota sucks right now, but they're gonna play good in the rivalry game. Yeah, that's the one
Minnesota
thing
played their
that's,
best game of the year that game. Like I was
yeah.
telling that to my dad and I was sitting there, I'm like, this Minnesota team, if they can play like this, they're easily cruising into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it didn't matter how they played before. They looked like a really good hockey team. And Clarkson, you can chalk it up to circumstance. I mean, we were like terrible in New York,
Right.
and
No,
it
and the
was
year
a
the year
opener.
UND or the year Minnesota made it to the national championship and UND missed the tournament. UND beat them a night. a night at Mariucci. So it's like, you're that rivalry. I think all bets are off the table. So
All right, ready to move on? All
I think so. Hope so.
right, so I don't know much about this U18 team. I assume neither of you two do either, but I had my head down for the last 5 minutes as I was doing a little research. Um, Unfortunately for those who have watched the last couple of years and UND's had guys on the U18 team come and play at the Ralph to look forward to watching, like EJ Emery or, uh, well, at the time, Cole Spicer. Was Sam Larilla on the team last year? No, he was in
uh,
Fargo
he
last
was in
year.
Fargo, but 2 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, so guys like that. Unfortunately, there are no UND commits on this team right now. A lot of couple Denver I saw, a couple Duluth, a couple beat Boston College, your typical run of the mill. But I will say, I think this is from what I'm looking at right now. This has got to be one of the I wouldn't say one of the worst, but no, not a great team. Like for the average, like U18 is usually pretty competitive with us. Sometimes they even beat us, and this team is. This team's when I was counting, they're 5-15, so this
Holy
team is not
crap.
great.
Holy smokes.
Um, some other just to give you a little kind of a note, like a way of conceptualizing this. They've lost to every single D1 program that they've played this year. They lost Notre Dame, not that great, right? This season, they lost to them 5-2. They lost to Western Michigan 7 to
Son of a
nothing.
zip.
They lost to West Wisconsin 6-0. They lost to Lake Superior State 6-2. Ferris State 5-0. Niagara Ferris State sucks. I mean, they don't suck, but they're not that good. Niagara they lost 4-1. Cornell they beat they lost 5-4. And then we're the next college team that they will have played. So if we lose to this team, dude, it is so embarrassing. We should not lose to this team, and we historically don't really lose to this team that often. I think we did we lose to them like I know we lost to them once in the last couple of years, but did we lose to them another time?
I swear we have lost them like two
Twice,
or three
maybe.
times in the last 4 years, and it's always been like 4-3 in overtime.
Yeah, I remember. I think when Cole Spicer was here, we lost to them, and then I don't remember if we lost to them when EJ Emery played, but I don't remember. Lincoln, do you know by chance?
I think it was just that 1 year. I don't know. I'm trying to,
Thanks, Ian.
yeah, yeah. I'm pulling up. I got their roster up right now.
Take it,
Is
stats.
this the team with Mikey Burchild and all those? Is this? Make sure I'm not looking at the U. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This is.
This one has.
Yeah. No.
Yep, it's got Birchall on it.
UND recruited a bunch of these guys. I remember. There's some good players on here. Their D cores is decent.
They have
What's
an
his
uncommitted
name?
guy, Luke
Wathier's pretty good.
Carruthers.
Abe Barnett should be good. Luke Sherrier. I don't know if I'm saying his name right. He should be pretty good. He's a big boy. Yeah.
Denver's
Um.
got 3 commits on here.
Yeah. It's just tough. It's just tough because there's no UND guys. There's some good players on here, but I wouldn't say they got Victor Plant. So just it's going to be a bunch of guys who are going to tear up the NCHC in 2 to 3 years from now. Is essentially what this is. So
I guess you do get to see Nick Four, who's a Grand Forks native, but he's a coach. So,
that is true.
but yeah,
Yeah.
that's not much to share on this team. But I mean, just if you're going to the game, enjoy it, watch it. It'll probably be. We haven't had hosted USA like this in a long time. I couldn't give you a distinct date of last time we hosted them, not over like Christmas break, New Year's Eve type time around that area. So should be an interesting one for sure. But we'll head into the vent line, I think, right now. Yeah, we'll just go into the vent line. Let's oh yeah, we'll go into that lastly. But vent line, Silky Mitts, welcome back to the vent line. Max Swanson in the last 3 to 4 games has been playing great and has really stepped up.
I would agree.
I noticed that. Yeah, I like he was kind of everywhere, and he he looks a lot faster, a lot more physical than he did last year, and it's been pretty
Hmm.
fun to see him play. He's kind of seemingly developing into kind of a Gaber-esque guy for our team where he's just kind of all over the place. And yeah, he's a smaller guy, but he gets it done. Yeah, it's been fun to see him play.
Jet Duran dot 14 said Emery was brutal today. I assume he means Saturday. I didn't really notice. Anyone catch anything on that?
He did have
Uh,
a few sloppy, like neutral zone turnovers that led to some good chances for Arizona State, but I don't think it really resulted in any goals.
no. Um, I thought he made a few good plays to get in the O zone. You can really tell he's offensively been better this year.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. Yeah, I don't really remember as much of his game on Saturday. I don't
I
remember him
don't
doing anything abysmal, at least.
I don't remember if this was Emery. This might have just been a fever dream for me, but I thought I remember seeing Emery like either this last weekend or a couple weekends ago. He just like hustled his ass on a guy down. It was heading towards the net and just got on him, and kind of like a couple years ago when he was playing for USA, and obviously Dylan James is really fast.
Oh yeah, I
He
remember
was able
that.
to keep up with Dylan James and shut him down. So, Ian Iverson says, hard to ignore the difference in front of Homer versus Spoonar. Hard to be mad at 8-4 into break. Ian, you got any comments for this Ian Iverson guy?
Yeah, I don't know who he is, man. He's kind of an imposter. No, I think me personally, I think Spoonar should have started Saturday, and this is just because I think there was going to be a lot of added pressure to Homer. And like you saw it with the Arizona State guys, every time they scored, all five of them skated right up to him and stared him down after
Yeah, they
every
did.
goal. Like, I don't care how good of a goaltender you are, that's going to rattle you, playing your previous team, and they're all, letting you have it after every goal. So, like, I thought from that perspective, maybe we should give Spoonar both nights this weekend. I completely understand why they didn't. But that was just kind of a personal thing for me. It's like I don't think we need to add pressure to Homer, especially, if we lose that game. So
Hmm. Uh, David Stoberiski said, we want Spoonar. And before we say anything, I'm going to keep going here. Stein said, play Spoon for the love of all that's holy. Gavin Bowman said, it's Spoonar's net, no more Homer. Anything to add there, fellas? We talked about it earlier, but
Uh, I get it.
hit
I
the
get what
brakes on the
people,
hate.
it's just I get it because, Homer's they're losing games with Homer, but it's not on Homer. You know what I wonder? If down the stretch, let's say in February, if this is still going on to where for some reason UND just can't play good in front of Homer, if they're just gonna say fuck it and then just play Spoonar for the rest of the year. I could see that happening. But I also wonder what happens when they're gonna go to ASU. That'll be interesting too. How
Hmm.
much he'll play there. But I don't know. I just think yeah, they haven't. I feel like the big thing for Homer is he hasn't given UND a reason to not play him yet. Like, yeah,
He
he's
always
been
makes
out of
great saves.
right.
hmm
Like he was phenomenal in Omaha in that one game. Like he saved that game. That game could have gotten very close very quickly.
yeah,
So
it's
I don't
funny that
know.
people want to keep their mouth shut when he stops 33 to 34 on what was a pretty buzzing Omaha team that Saturday night. So
Right.
it's like
Hmm.
I don't, I think it's hard to ignore that they play differently in front of them, seemingly. Who knows? But I think the only thing I see in Homer that's kind of a red flag is just for somebody who's 6'6", I don't think he needs to extend that far out of the crease, for like
Right.
the first shot and even the rebounds, because he just kind of, if there's a defenseman not there, then they're both getting kind of hung out to dry. So that's like the only thing. He's a great goalie. He's probably, besides Ludwig Person, like our best transfer we've had.
Hmm.
Um, and there's no reason to sit there and beat him up 12 games into the year. Like Lincoln said, if this is the same thing in January, sure, you can let him hear it a little bit, but it's way too early to be throwing
Hmm.
anybody bus.
Yeah, and speaking of, to go back on what you said, Ian, that Omaha game, the one goal he did have score on him was a power play goal for Omaha. So once
Hmm.
again, special teams kind of hurting Homer.
Yep. Okay. Hales niche. I don't know how to say this. I'm not even gonna bother. She said, pulling Homer seemed unnecessary, at least that early on in the power play. See, I agree with this. I think that they definitely could have pulled Homer, and I would have probably, but not that soon, is kind of what I was thinking. This is a really good spin on what I was trying to maybe say earlier. I give yourself a little bit more time. I think at the time that they did pull him, the risk was too great over the reward, the chances of getting that reward. So if you give it 30, 40 seconds, start to notice, damn, these guys are boxing us out really well. We can't get anything going on this power play. Maybe I give it a minute. I would say give it a minute on the power play because I'd say give it a minute. I mean, still a minute 20 is still plenty of time in the rest for the rest of the power play or the
Yeah,
rest of the game. Um, you can go here and I'm speaking. Just kidding. Uh, the I would say the risk give it a minute, see if the power play is clicking, if they can get set up, if they're getting good chances, if they're not getting good chances, if they're not getting set up, if ASU is getting on them and blocking shots or getting in the lanes then pull Homer. Get a little bit more momentum. Maybe get Arizona stuck out there for a little bit longer, and then pull him. That's what I would have maybe done. Get him more tired, get him more trapped, make him slower out there, open up lanes, things like that, and then pull him. That's kind of what I would, not that I wouldn't have pulled him, but that's what I would have done, I guess.
yeah, that's actually a good point. I don't remember how quick into the power play or how much time. It was fairly early when they did pull him, but maybe yeah, generate a little offense, trap them down there because then they're more tired. And then when you do have those two extra guys on them, they're going to be tired. ASU will be more tired out there, and you can beat them to puck battles better. So I can get behind that. That's a good thought.
Hmm.
Yeah, I would say the only thing is like I said, in the two power plays they had all night, they only got one shot on goal. So I can see Dane's thinking
Yeah.
is like, well, we got to send somebody so at least we can generate something.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think doing that at like a minute and a half, a minute 20, like we said, is probably the better idea. 220 is pretty aggressive. And I
Hmm.
get it. It's like, why not try it? Um,
Hmm.
but
Especially if they practiced it. Yeah, it makes more sense.
yeah,
But
yeah.
Um, Cooper Frey, I think this guy's hopped in here before. Welcome back to the vent line. Why do we start Gibson Homer? Spoonar is undefeated in all of his games played. John Novak said, spoon emoji, apostrophe S, and then a net emoji. I don't care about, quote, seniority. He's objectively better. And then Anaheim Ducks talk dot STN said, why can't we win with Homer in net? And we kind of already went over that. I don't know if you guys have anything to add to that. If based on
Yeah.
like he said seniority, or obviously it's not just seniority, but
I don't know.
My only thing is like, if Spoonar loses, are we just gonna say, "Oh, bench him and put Homer in"? Because clearly we can't win in front of Spoonar either. It's like
I
those
wonder
people are really
actually
never
like
gonna
if
be
the
happy.
roles were reversed, like if Homer was had the same performance as Spoonar, uh, if the roles were reversed a little bit, and I guess you'd have to minus some games from Homer, like he's played more games than Spoonar, but if Homer was, if for example Spoonar was playing like Homer is, or the team wasn't playing good in front of him, they wouldn't play him. It would be Homer probably playing every night, with the exception of a couple rest nights. I
Hmm.
know, obviously. Well, actually, they're gonna try and fit in Homer or Spooner anyway, just because he's a freshman. You want to get the freshman reps, but he would be playing less. I mean, I could if the roles were reversed, I'd say Spooner would maybe have played 2 games, maybe three, so maybe a
Yeah,
game less.
I
Yeah,
can see that.
maybe, but then again, it just is like people are never really gonna be happy. And I think it's just because we've seen the transfer experiment not go super well, and so as soon as a transfer doesn't play up to par for somebody, they're like, "Oh, pull him out."
It's not even. It's not even an experiment anymore.
Yeah,
It's more like a
routine.
school. Yeah,
The uni
tradition.
tradition.
So I think
Um,
that's what it is. It's like, Driscoll didn't play great the first half when he was here. DeRidder arguably didn't play that great all year. Ludwig played pretty good, but even then he was barely over 900.
Mhm.
Um, TJ,
each
same thing with
each goalie had
Crystal.
their moments.
Hmm.
Yeah.
There was some of the goalies were better than others, but each of them had their moments. Each of them shined in their own ways in different games. Uh, I could probably put them in order from best to worst right now if I wanted to. I don't know if I'm going to do that, but um, anything to add before I get to the last submission? Okay. Rylan Peterson said ASU fucking sucks. So that was the last one. If anyone's got to add into anything real quick before we move on about that
I
last one.
I don't think ASU sucks. I think
Yeah,
they're
I don't think
just
they suck.
figuring out their identity, which is a weird thing to say, but they like we said last week, it's one of those teams where you don't know what you're going to get, and that's how they're going to be
Hmm.
all year long. So,
Yeah, and they got talented guys. Like they got Shimmick,
mhm.
they got Colin Potter, a guy who hadn't produced really that great that season. And then he produced on Saturday and
Mhm.
it helped them
Lucius,
win. So,
And that line had like pretty
yep,
much, I think, every
Lucius.
single goal.
right?
Yep.
They- Like
So maybe more like a Duluth team where they're not clicking at the exceptional rate that Duluth is, but they have the potential to. So, yeah, ASU definitely a mystery team and uh I don't know if you guys want to take a look around the league. UND, after that split, stayed in sixth. I know we didn't mention that, but we did talk about the rankings last time. Um, but the NCHE standings are a little bit more updated. We have a better picture now. UND, after 6 games, is still in first. Denver, after only four non-conference games so far, is in second place. And then I'd have to look who's after that. So Denver looking pretty legit. I know Lincoln, you said that earlier. Someone said that earlier.
Duluth is third, I think, and
Duluth
then
is
it's
third with 10
Western.
points, 4-2 with two overtime wins. That's where their two missed points comes from. Uh, and then Omaha is in fourth, Western fifth, Arizona State sixth, CC in seventh, St. Cloud State in eighth with just 4 games played, and then Miami in last with just 4 games played. So maybe Miami has come, not that they've come down to earth, but Miami kind of back where they belong.
They're Miami's better, but they're still just Miami, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, so now the standings are looking a little bit more like they used to. Um, but anyway, any other news people want to add? I'm gonna say Ben Strinden won Forward of the Week for the second time in 3 weeks. Congratulations to him. He's been great. He's one of the hottest players in the country right now. So really happy for him. Really happy to see that. Really happy to see any guy turn it on. What is he, 1 point away from his career high? And
Yeah,
we're like not
probably.
even a third away into the season yet, or maybe a third in.
Hmm.
So good for him. Oh, Jason Feldman shouted us out in the first minute of the Grand Forks Herald podcast last week. Thank you, Jason. If you're listening to this, shout out to you. We're always listening, so keep up the good content. If you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, our buddy Brad Schlossman and Jason Feldman run a podcast on the Grand Forks Herald. You can listen to it on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Make sure to do that because they do a great job. They know their stuff. They study up and they just create some good content. So make sure to check them out uh, after this. I'm sure a lot of people who are listening to this already listen. So anything else to add before we wrap it up, fellas?
I will say it's neat that I'm just looking here. 8 out of 9 NCHC teams right now have a 500 or better record.
That's great.
Pretty cool. I mean, we kind of
Is
expected
Arizona
them to
still below
be good this
500?
year.
That's the one team or what?
That's the one team that's below 500. Everybody else is 500 or up. And like we
Okay.
knew the NCHC would be a lot better this year, but it's proving to be a conference that's going to be an absolute gauntlet.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
What was that face?
Hopefully, because we have I almost got a Charlie horse in my foot. That's why I
I'll
was
make sure to edit that in.
was curling my foot around my desk and it just went too far. But yeah, I mean, we have us in the Big Ten have the most ranked teams, I believe, right now. We got four in the top 10. Yeah, I mean, I meant in the top 10. Big Ten has four in the top 10 as well. Hockey East has, I want to say one, and that's Maine. And they
Hmm.
might be ninth now. BC, BU are all out the top 10. BU's holding on for dear life in the top 20. I think they're 18th, maybe 17th now. So some
Oh,
rumblings in the rankings. Yeah, what's up?
how about the Gophers getting spanked by Long Island?
That was
How about
hilarious.
that? Isn't
Oh
Yeah.
that
man.
crazy?
And then they had a Robbie Bina goal from the blue line go in again.
Oh
That's not the
yeah.
first time
Oh,
that's
the
happened.
opposite blue line. Just
Even the
yeah.
camera
For
angle
those who
on
don't
that
know,
wasn't great.
yeah. For those who don't know, the Gophers got absolutely piss pumped by Long Island on Friday night. They lost like 6-2, and they let in, I want to say, three or four power play goals.
They're
Yeah, they
bad.
got well, they were like everyone was kind of leaving, and then it was like 5 minutes left in the game, and Long Island just backdoor pumped them for two more goals. It was hilarious on the replay.
Yeah, the power play with
Oh
1 minute
man,
left. Yeah. Yeah, I
yes,
mean, not to say that may be the nail in the coffin for Matsko, but it's not looking good right now for him. And
yeah, he's got to
especially
pick it
if
up.
something happens at the World Juniors where, the team doesn't make the medal round or something, Matsko could be gone. Somebody was telling me that he may even be gone over Christmas break, which to me that seems like a little overkill, but
It doesn't
I would
happen in
not be
college
surprised
hockey
to see him
like
ousted.
ever.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can find a time that a coach has gotten fired in the middle of the season. That doesn't really happen, does it?
Oh, not that
Anyone
I
think
know
of
of.
anything? Lincoln, I
Not that
see
I
kind
know
of
of. I
shaking
mean,
your head
maybe
up there.
Lucia did, but
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I not that
no.
I remember. Yeah, that he really messed up the team this year. They did not. Their recruiting, like they had guys who are going to be good college hockey players on their team right now, but they didn't carry. They messed up on D. McLaughlin's terrible.
Finn, right? Finn,
Yep, they didn't.
he's
I don't
awful.
think they brought in as many forwards as they could have. So they had. I don't know if they still do, but at one point they had a defenseman playing forward because they were so down there, and for some reason they don't want to go recruit in Western Canada, which honestly, whatever, that's fine for UND
Yeah,
and
great. More for me
just
and
let
you. Like,
UND, Denver, and the rest of the NCHC teams pick whoever they want out of there. But I think Motzko screwed up. I don't know if he's going to get fired. I bet that if he has another crap year, he will. I bet they keep him on. But then again, you never know. It's college hockey. So like I said, I don't think he will. But if he did get fired, it wouldn't shock me.
yeah, since the championship appearance, he's progressed. His season outcomes have progressively gotten worse and worse. Obviously, they made it to the semifinal in 2022 and lost to Minnesota State. And then they lost to Quinn. They were, tw I want to say, what was it? Maybe 3 minutes away from a national championship and lost in the first 10 seconds of overtime. And then 2024, they lost in the regional final, I want to say. Who they lose to, though?
2024?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think they did lose in the final. If I'm, they
They
lost to.
lost.
Who did they lose to?
Shit.
I think it
I know
was it
this too.
Denver?
No, it wasn't
Let's
Denver.
see. Let me look here. I'm pulling it up.
No, don't do that. BU. They lost to BU in the regional
That's
final
right.
in Sioux
Yeah, you're
Falls.
right. Yep.
And then they lost in the first round last year to UMass Amherst. So,
Hilarious fashion too. Yeah.
yeah, like, what are we doing? I mean,
Let's
now they're
just
gonna
stand
miss
there
the tournament.
flat-footed, let the
They're
guy
just
get
getting
knocked
worse
over.
and worse. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Bob is just,
Hey, at least they're making the tournament and they made their
Yeah, that's
runs.
right. That's right.
yeah,
It's
they made
better
more
than
Frozen
UND has done the
Fours
last few
since,
years. Can't forget that.
yeah.
I'll give Motzko a little bit of slack this year just because I don't think he expected all of his top guys to leave for the pros.
Oh
Like
no,
You have to
no,
kind
yeah.
of, I mean, you kind of have to learn to anticipate that, though.
I think
You're gonna
so,
have an
but
easier
like
life if you anticipate it every year.
had probably four or five guys that you thought would probably return, excluding like Oliver Moore and Snuggerud and all those guys. You still had another like four guys that you were looking to rely on, guys like Brody Lamb, that, ended up going pro. Brody Lamb stayed, but then again, it's like if you're not going to open up to CHL recruiting and you're not going to go out there and fight for recruits, like of course you're going to fall behind very quickly. And so like I I get what Minnesota does with their we're going to recruit in Minnesota, but it's like if you keep it up like that, you're not going to be much of a program for the next few years. Like it or not, those Canadian guys are going to be the bread and butter for a lot of teams. So
Mhm.
Yeah, well, anybody got anything else to add before we sign off here?
I guess we can talk about Keaton Vierhoff being talked
All
about
right.
on Chicklets. I don't know if we mentioned that last week, but
Um, I think we might have
they're saying he is the best defenseman
defensemen to
in
come out of
Western
Western
Canada,
Canada in the
essentially.
last 25 years.
Mhm.
And it was a lot of people were having trouble interpreting that if Western Canada meant actual like continental Western Canada or the Western Hockey League. I think people are assuming he meant Western Hockey League, which is kind of what I'm assuming. Because that means like better than Cale Makar, better than um God, I can't remember the other players that they mentioned. I know Cale
Makar,
Makar's from Western
Makar.
Canada. I mean, the thing that people, if the people that don't know, that the reason why Keaton's so sought after is he's a right shot defenseman who's big and can play offense, and that's really sought after. It's a really rare thing to find.
Can skate too well.
Yeah, very talented skater, but the right shot is really coveted. Those come rare in the league, so that's why teams are really hard after him. I know when you look at the recruiting, I'm not super familiar with the Swedish guy who is being ranked high. I've seen him get ranked above Keaton and Keaton dropping down to third. But Gavin McKenna is not playing like a first overall pick in the NCAA right now. You know, he's not having a better season than Macklin Silverini did. He's not having a better he's not having a better season than Fantilli did.
Hmm.
You know, he's definitely shown his challenges, which doesn't mean that he can't play like a first overall pick coming down the stretch. So, you know, he's not a very big guy. I know he's like 5'10" or less. I don't remember how tall Macklin Celebrini was, but I can't imagine it was too much bigger than that. Fantilli was bigger than that. I want to say Fantilli was he around 6 feet, maybe 5'11" or something
Yeah,
like that.
I think he was.
6'1", something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought he was a little bit bigger even. So I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know, I don't know everything about Gavin McKenna. I don't watch him play that much, but you know, he doesn't look like he's. I've heard a lot, and I don't think he's. Not saying he won't go first overall, but you know, there's anyone that had doubts or thought that there was a chance Keaton could go first over Gavin or have Gavin just even drop in general. I mean, those those possibilities are more real than ever right now. I
Yeah,
mean,
this may be a hot take, but like I would say right now, and I could never speak for scouts, but I would imagine right now the talk is like we will probably take Keaton above Gavin.
yeah, and
Hmm.
I think it depends on what team it is.
Right.
I've been seeing a lot about the Sharks have really, if they were to get the number one overall pick, which they probably won't because they're playing pretty well, that they have a really, if you've been watching the NHL, if you're a fan of the NHL even a little bit, you've been probably noticing uh, the Sharks have drafted a lot of forwards the last couple of drafts. They had Michael Misa, they have Macklin Celebrini, Will Smith, list goes on and on. Not a whole lot of draft picks at defense. So if the Sharks were to get it, a lot of people were saying if the Sharks were to get it, which they probably won't if they continue to play the way that they are, that they would be more inclined, even if Gavin McKenna had a better year statistically than Keaton Verhoff, that they would pick Keaton Verhoff just because he's a defenseman and the value that is there. But yeah, it just depends on who the team is right now. I know Calgary is probably the worst in the league right now. I think they're 5-12, I want to say. So yeah, I mean it could go a lot of ways. It really depends though. Depends on who the team that gets the pick is, what they want to do with it, and how the two players perform, obviously. So I mean, we'll see. Anybody else got anything to add?
I'll just say one more thing on McKenna. I think it's just like, yeah, his two-way game isn't that great. And then I want to go check. I was talking to Schloss the other day, I think it was before last weekend's series, and I think we calculated. I think there are some guys, freshmen on UND, who have more 5-on-5 points than McKenna does. He has a lot of power play points. Gavin does. So that's
He's
another
a
thing.
power play
Yeah.
merchant.
Yeah. So that's another thing. He's
He
still a
reaps.
generational player and is insane, but
Yeah,
I don't know.
he's just a reaper.
I think people really were I get why people were high on him, but the college game is you gotta adapt to it.
Different.
So
Yeah,
It,
I will say real quick that I kind of like that people are Gavin McKenna kind of fell back to earth. I mean, people wouldn't shut up about him and thought he was going to put up easily break Tony Herkus's record, and that's just not going to happen ever. And we've mentioned that before. Like it's never going to happen again,
no.
ever. That record's never getting broken, uh, unless some physically perfect specimen just walks the earth and shines, and it's just Jesus on skates, like we thought Jaden Perron was going to be when he got here after that Manitoba game. It's just not going to happen, and it puts a lot of confidence in me, or not in me, but like just the college game in general. When you look at people who are big CHL fans, like I don't know how many countless arguments I've had in the comment sections of Instagram posts where people think that CHL is all of that and still is all of that and always will be all of that. And this is well before the whole CHL players are coming to the United States thing was going down. The whole lawsuit happened last year. United States college hockey's been on the rise, steadily for the last 20 years, and it's getting even bigger. It's gonna be the destination for it's gonna be part of it. Like you're gonna go to the CHL and then you're gonna go to college hockey. It's just gonna be how it is, and
Mhm.
there's gonna be a very few minute group of kids that are gonna just play CHL and get drafted and go straight to NHL. We're going to see that window kind of close. So that group of guys be more minute. So I will say I'm happy that it just shows how challenging college hockey is to the people who love the CHL and think that the NCAA is not that much better because it is. You're playing against older guys who are more experienced, stronger than you, work out 4 days a week, 4 days a week, and have games on the weekends. That's why college hockey is great. You have more time to develop as a physical body instead of just your game on the ice, which is why it's great. So you get to build strength and just mobility stuff and gain your game while playing against bigger guys, older guys, and then be prepared to go to the next level. So I think it's definitely I'm
Yeah,
definitely happy about it.
I think that like you have to understand the difference makers in any level of hockey, above the age of 18, like they're noticeable off the puck, and I think that's something Gavin has really struggled with this year. And like I've heard a lot of that even from Penn State fans. They're like, he doesn't do a lot off the puck. He doesn't
Hmm.
really forecheck hard. He doesn't really hit people hard. He's kind
I
of just
wonder if
like
it's an
sitting there
attitude
waiting for the
problem.
shot.
Like
Yeah,
maybe he doesn't feel like he has to because he's Gavin McKenna. Maybe
and
he's
you know what's funny?
unmotivated.
I saw that exact argument. I'm like, the reason Gavin's not playing is like God himself is because he's too good for these college players. Like he's just conserving his energy for the season. I'm like, are you? That's just idiotic.
oh my god.
So I was fighting with him on Instagram, I think about that. But like Keaton Veeroff is a player you can see off the puck. Like, and maybe that's just the nature of
I mean,
defensemen moving
he's huge
forward. But
too,
like,
but yeah.
but Gavin really hasn't shown a lot that like he's gonna be elite off the puck. And I said this to some Penn State guys the other day too. I think a problem is like I don't think Godowski could even coach his hand how to eat a bowl of cereal. Like, I don't think he's a good coach. I think that system is what is failing Penn State already this year. And like people went from, oh, this is going to be a title team easily to like, they'll make
They're not
playoffs.
winning a title. I don't even
No,
know if I'd put him in the
I don't
Frozen
think they
Four.
even make the
An
Frozen
NCHC
Four.
team will beat them
Yeah.
or
It
Minnesota
always
State.
happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, a team with a hot goaltender or an NCHC team that just battles and plays classic hard hockey is just gonna. That's what happens. That's why they
Yeah.
win national championships. They beat
And
those
a,
teams
a
every year.
roster like Penn State should not like be in close games with Stonehill and Long Island. Like,
Hmm.
Hmm.
sure, parity's changing everything, but
And
like,
they are in close games against those teams because those teams are grittier. They
Hmm.
don't have the skill because they have to work hard. And this is a great quote that I love. It's, hard work beats skill when skill doesn't work hard. I love that quote, and I think it's 100% true. You can have all the skill in the world and just get outplayed and outworked. Like you can get outworked and get beat, and that's what's happened dozens and dozens of times in the last 10, 15 years of the NCAA tournament. That's why the NCHC is great because we got